So basically it's just like counteracts the self-cherishing attitudes, yeah, with cherishing others, because others are more important, are more in number, yeah, and only working for yourself. Look at the Buddha, so in texts they say, look at the Buddha. He always cherished others. And look at ourselves, we always cherish ourselves. Look at the difference between the two. Who has accomplished with kind of realization, who has accomplished benefits for self and others. Yeah, we can see easily. Yeah, His Holiness Dalai Lama, same thing. Always think about how to benefit others. There's more cherishing others than cherishing oneself. Yeah, that's the two ways basically to generate bodhicitta. It's have a cause and effect method and exchanging self for others. Yeah. So then on top of that you can do Tonglen practice, practice of giving and taking, if you like. There's all kind of things that can be done to enhance this kind of compassion and loving kindness. Yeah. But the main thing is this compassion, as I said yesterday, Dharmakirti in his great work of the Madhyamika Avatara, which actually talks about emptiness, the ultimate nature of reality. But in the beginning of his texts, in that particular text, he praises not the Buddha and not the teaching of emptiness, but compassion. Because the compassion is the source for Buddhas to come about. Yeah, without compassion, emptiness doesn't make much sense. It does make sense, but there's no, if you just know merely reality and you cannot place it in a part, then there's not much benefit. Yeah. So that's why compassion is extremely important, in that way. And the more you understand the suffering of samsara, the stronger your understanding of renunciation, and the stronger compassion will be for others. That's one aspect. And the more you understand the Buddha potential, we just talked about, that you and all sentient beings have this potential to eliminate suffering, because we can eliminate destructive emotions, right? Like the clouds in this blue sky can be taken away. So all sentient beings who have this kind of suffering, as we just talked about, they can be freed from those kind of types of suffering. So based on that understanding, generating compassion becomes very, very profound. So that's why among the different types of compassion, the compassion that understands reality is the strongest. Because it understands why beings are suffering, and also understands that there's no need for them to suffer if they understand reality. And then you aspire to become a Buddha to teach them reality. So that's very, very... The Buddha did the same thing. The Buddha generated first compassion, in different lifetimes before becoming a bodhisattva. So by seeing beings suffering and wanting to help them, he generated this compassion more and more and more over many lifetimes. And then one lifetime generated this bodhicitta, and then become a bodhisattva. Then after that many lifetimes, he progressed on the path to enlightenment. And then in Bodhgaya show the aspect of full enlightenment. So it's very inspiring stories about that. The Buddha in previous lifetime generates so much compassion for beings. So that's how. Then the definition of having generated the mind of enlightenment. So this actually section in the text is not a part of the original text. There's a footnote, but they never put in. I don't know why they forgot to put, I think. Because this section is added from one of the commentaries. I think from Pabonka Rinpoche's commentary. So then it says, if like the mother whose cherished son has fallen into a pit of fire and will experience even 1 second of this suffering as unbearable, then of course you want to help, right? So if you think about the bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, they actually have more affection for sentient beings than parents have for their children. And the Buddhas and bodhisattvas actually have more affection for sentient beings than we have for ourselves. So in that way, it's, even this an example is given with a mother. Of course, if your dear one is falling into a pit or falling off a cliff, the only thing comes to mind is to help or rescue, right? So if you have that kind of intention, you have so much compassion, even if you just see animals or whatsoever, you feel like, I have to help them, I have to help them. How can I help them? That kind of innate wish, when that's spontaneous, day and night, then we're talking about real compassion, real compassion present, and then based on that, wanted to become a Buddha for that particular purpose. Yeah, and that's also what it says here. And the wish seeking enlightenment for their sakes arises without effort. Yeah? So if you meditate on these things again and again, and again, then it becomes spontaneous after a long period of habituation. Yeah, yeah. So that's, you can see in those high realized beings like His Holiness, they only think about how can I help others day and night. Yeah, and Lama Tsongkhapa, all the other high lamas, they only think about 24/7. How can I help this person? How can I help that person? How can I help this particular creature? It's like constant. Yeah. So same that we saw renunciation. If that happens without effort, yeah, for us it's difficult. No, we fed up with the person, get angry again. So again, we have to sit on our cushion, meditate, contemplate. And slowly we bring up that habituation. One day it's spontaneous, right? Yeah, same as the first time you drive a car with the gear, it's you remember the first time you drove a car, it's very complicated. The first few minutes is quite, you really have to think what to do because you do a few things at the same time, right? But then after a few times it becomes a habit, automatic, So that's the same thing. By the power of familiarity or habituation, everything's possible, So that's also with this kind of mental development. Yeah. So when that's really the case, then it becomes spontaneous. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how to having seen that the mind has been developed. Yeah. Then next. So there's two principal aspects dealt with. Yeah. Renunciation and Bodhichitta. Yeah. So now the third one, the right view, the correct view. Yeah. So without the wisdom realizing ultimate reality, even though you have generated renunciation and the mind of enlightenment, you cannot cut the root of cause of cycling, yeah, or cyclic existence. The root of cyclic existence being ignorance. Yeah. Therefore, attempt the methods to realize dependent origination or dependent arising. So I said yesterday, if you want to become liberated from samsara, you want to achieve nirvana, you need two wings, right? One wing of renunciation and the other wing of emptiness. Yeah, otherwise you can never fly to the city of liberation. And same, if you want to become a Buddha, you need bodhicitta, one wing, and the other wing, emptiness. Why do you need emptiness? Because without emptiness you can never cut the destructive emotions. If you don't understand reality, you can never cut this concrete sense of I, that arises when afflictions arises. Very concrete I and me, what we just talked about. Yeah, that if you don't understand reality, you cannot cut that I, concrete I, that appears. Yeah? If you don't cut this concrete I that appears, yeah, if you always think it exists the way it appears, then afflictions come up all the time. If you understand ultimate reality, yeah, if you understand that the body and mind are not that concrete as it appears. So yesterday we had the example of the paint on the wall. Yeah, the moment the paint gets on the wall, it's like, oh, perfectly, that will stay for, every time you look at it, same as yesterday. But actually, every second it disintegrates, But things appear very concrete to us, So that's also true for the self. So I'm important. How dare this person say this to me? I want this, I want that, And based on that, we generate these kind of destructive emotions. So the question is, does the self exist the way it appears? Yeah? So if you don't cut this kind of understanding of reality, then afflictions will come up again and again. If there's afflictions or destructive emotions, then there's physical and verbal activity, yeah, where we might harm people. We create karma, and the cycle is round again. We again create all those problems and suffering over and over again. So it's time to cut this form of ignorance. Yeah, if you want to achieve liberation, yeah, if you like to cut all suffering, you need it. If you want to become a Buddha, you need it, because you cannot be a Buddha and cycling existing at the same time, right? So you have to be free of it. So that's why the Buddha also said, I cannot give my realizations to you. I cannot take away your suffering or wash away your sins. I can show you the path, how to do it. Yeah, so that's the Buddha showed us actually what is ultimate reality. But we have to generate it ourselves. Yeah, we have to use logic. We have to lose the kind of mental consciousness that analyzes reality. Yeah, so if we don't do that, then we will still stuck in samsara. Yeah, so that's the reason why do we have to know emptiness. Yeah, very important aspect. Then, what is the right view? Yeah, in verse number 10. Yeah. So one who sees cause and effects of all phenomena, of both cyclic existence, and the state beyond sorrow, as forever unbetraying, and who, to whom for any object trusted by the grasping mind has completely disappeared, has at that time entered the path pleasing the Buddhas. Yeah, so that is referring to this kind of cause and effect. Everything around us is basically interdependence, right? Everything is nature of cause and effect. Our body, our mind, isn't it? Our body and mind are momentary changing, no? Yeah. Our body is momentary changing, right? Our mind is also momentary changing, right? Yeah. Is it? Or not?
Yes.
Yeah. No? So this interdependence is constantly there. Yeah. Cause and effect. So if there is nothing all by itself, without interdependence. So in whatever exists related with body and mind, there cannot be anything that exists all by itself without causes and conditions, right? Yeah. So then that concrete I that appears, yeah, when we get angry at a person, then that concrete I appears to be permanent, appears to be all by itself. But if you use a little bit of reasoning, it cannot exist in that way because body and mind are momentarily changing, you know. So that's here referring to cause and effect, yeah. Then, and that's true for samsara as well as nirvana. Both are in the same nature. Nothing exists as concrete, though we make things concrete, yeah. So that's basically referring to. So emptiness. What does emptiness mean? Emptiness. What does it mean? It's not nothingness. Empty of something. Yeah. So this room is empty of an elephant, for example, right? There's no elephant in the room, so we can say the room's empty of an elephant. So emptiness, in the sense of dependent origination and emptiness, meaning it lacking something. Something is absence. So what is lacking? What is not present? Is this concrete aspect of a self. Yeah, so this concrete aspect of a self is not reality. It appears, but actually, if you analyze, it's not reality because everything is cause and effect. Yeah, so there cannot exist anything that is concrete, existing all by itself. Yeah. So so that's emptiness. Yeah. So emptiness and dependent origination are basically two sides of a coin. Yeah. If you understand dependent origination, that helps you to understand emptiness. If you understand emptiness, that helps you to understand dependent origination. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that, if you really understand this correctly, then you have entered the path pleasing the Buddhas. Yeah. So. Next it says, if the appearance and of dependent relation, which are unbetraying, is accepted separately from emptiness. Yeah? So I just said, it's like two sides of a coin. If you think, oh, dependent origination is this, and emptiness is something totally different. Yeah? If you don't relate the two together, then your view of the view is incorrect. Yeah? Yeah? If you think, oh, nothing exists at all, right? Then your view is also incorrect because there's interdependence, right? Yeah, so that's also incorrect. If you think ever exists from its own side, that's also incorrect because there's interdependence. Yeah, so interdependence and emptiness go together. Because of the lack of concreteness, cause and effect exists. Yeah? If everything exists all by itself, then there's no interdependence, right? Yeah, so that's like two sides of a coin. So that's been said here. If you see it as separate, if you see dependent origination and emptiness, two total different things, then your understanding of the view is not correct. You know? Yeah. So some people, they misunderstand emptiness, think, oh, nothing exists at all. But if nothing exists at all, then there's no cause and effect, right? So that's a wrong view. That's not correct. Yeah. And so as long as they are seen as separate, emptiness and dependent origination, it says here. Then one has still not realized the Buddha's intent. You still haven't generated the correct view. Yeah, so you should see emptiness and dependent origination as supporting each other. Because of emptiness, because there's no concreteness, there's dependent origination, right? Because there's dependent origination, there cannot be anything concrete, like the paint on the wall. You know, it appears very concrete, but if you analyze, there cannot exist the way it appears. Yeah, it's Same with our face in the mirror. It looks the same as yesterday, and we think it's the same as tomorrow, but actually it's not the case. It will change moment by moment, you know. So, seeing that momentary changing nature of dependent origination, and seeing that our face cannot exist at concrete, yeah, if you understand those two as being related, then you have the correct view. Yeah. So, dependent origination. Actually, dependent origination is two syllables, right? So dependent prevents you from falling in the extreme of concreteness or eternalism. Nothing exists at concrete because there's dependence, right? Yeah, you see that? Origination helps you not to fall in the wrong view of nihilism. Some people say, oh, emptiness, nothing exists at all. That's wrong view because, you know, you walk, just put your head against the wall and you feel that something exists, right? It's not that, you know, it doesn't exist concrete, but conventional exists. Yeah, so origination helps us to not fall into the extreme of nihilism. Yeah, because conventional things exist. We're sitting here, we can pain our legs, we're thinking about things, yeah, we have to go back in traffic, back home. So conventional, all kind of things happen. Yeah, so on the conventional level exists, but it's not that concrete. Everything is just in the mere continuity of causes and conditions. So there's different levels of dependent origination, but we keep it simple today. We only talk about the first level, yeah, of causes and conditions for body and mind. Yeah. So everything related with body and mind is cause and effect, right? Our mind, from the moment we wake up until we go to bed, we know that's one thought after the other. It comes and goes. And we see something, we hear something, we taste something, we feel something. Yeah, there's some mental thoughts. It's just a flow of all kind of moments of consciousness, right? There's nothing concrete thing that exists there. Yeah, same for our body. You know, it's if you analyze from the crown to the tip of your toes, it's just a momentary change in nature. Even the organs inside our body, they within a few years, some organs within 7 years, all the cells have changed. Yeah, so that momentary changing nature is present in the body and mind. So there's no place for something concrete without dependence, right? You see that? Yeah, that's very important to understand. Yeah. So so if you don't have this understanding that dependent origination and emptiness, they go together, and you see them as separate, then you didn't get the right view. When you see them as supporting each other, then you generate the right view. So that's what's in the next line. It says, definition of having completed the analysis of the right view. Yeah. So if these two realizations, meaning dependent origination and emptiness, are happening simultaneously without alternation, so meaning, you know, they relate with each other, and from merely seeing dependent relation is complete and unbetraying, the definite ascertainment comes from complete to destroy the way objects and appears just as they truly exist. At that time, the analysis of the ultimate view is complete. Yeah? So if you see those two as supporting each other, here it says simultaneously, there's not direct, we have to take literal, because in order to understand the most subtle form of conventional truth, which is mere imputation, you first have to realize emptiness. Yeah. So, but here, if you have realized emptiness, then that is very easy to realize after. Anyway, that's just a detail for those later on we study more. But for the time being, just think that, you know, if you understand that those two are supporting each other, then you have understood the correct view. Yeah, because if you think nothing exists at all, you're going to refute karma, you're going to refute all kind of things. Yeah, that's not correct. Yeah, because conventional, our body is here, right? Conventional, our mind is there. We are feeling. Yeah, but it is not there that concrete as it appears. Yeah, so that difference should be made. Yeah. So then it talked about the particular special quality of the prasangika view. Yeah. So among the 4 schools of Buddhist philosophy, has been studied in Nalanda, Vikramashila, Takshila's universities in old India. Yeah. So the prasangika view is being considered as the most supreme or most subtle view when it comes to the understanding of ultimate nature of reality. Yeah, so there it says furthermore, appearance eliminates the extreme of existence. Yeah, I just talked about. Yeah, because appearance the extreme of existence means eternalism. Yeah. So if you depend on origination, yeah, dependence, yeah, the appearance here referring to the dependent nature, that eliminates the wrong view of eternalism. That concreteness disappears if you understand dependence, right? Yeah, so that's here. And emptiness eliminates the extreme of non-existence. And that's also true because emptiness, based on emptiness, there's dependent origination. If there's dependent origination, then nothingness can also not be established. Yeah? Because of dependent origination is there, yeah, so then things conventionally exist. So you don't have to fall into the extreme of nihilism. Yeah? If you realize how emptiness manifests in the manner of cause and effect, yeah, so you just talked about, then you are not captivated by wrong views. Yeah? So that's if you really understand emptiness correctly, you know, then the cause and effect makes much sense. You know, it's just a flow of our body, our mind is just a continuation of causes and conditions, nothing else. There's nothing concrete to be found among our aggregates that is separate from this process of causes and conditions, isn't it? If you analyze correctly, although the self sometimes appears very concrete, right? Yeah, when we get angry at a person, or when you almost die, you know, like the example when I was in the ocean in the Spanish beach, it's like so much of some fear arises because you think, I'm going to die, where's up, where's down, I don't know anymore, you know. So there's fear, right? So this fear actually generates this very concrete sense of I, yeah, and that concrete sense of I appears when you're almost dying, or when afflictions arise very strongly, you know, with attachment, anger, jealousy, pride. How dare this person say this to me? You know, that kind of, or I need this object now. You know, that kind of concrete sense of I. It appears in that way, but actually, if you analyze, it cannot exist the way it appears, because body and mind are momentary changing. There's no place. If you look for that I, you cannot find it. No, very interesting. So that's true for the Buddhist form of logic, but some other philosophers sometimes all came to similar conclusions. Yeah, even modern science, quantum physics, you know, they come to the same conclusion. There's nothing concrete to be found among all the subatomic particles. If there's no concreteness to be found among the subatomic particles, then the collection of those subatomic particles, yeah, which is, you know, the mere collection of that is also based on these, you know, subatomic particles. There's also cannot anything concrete to be found. So in that way, everything lacks their concreteness. So they come to the same conclusion, you know. Then philosophers like David Hume, you know, from Scotland, who in the 1700s came to the same conclusion. He said, I cannot speak for others, but if I look how the I appears very concrete in my mind, but if I look for it, I cannot find it. Very interesting conclusion, you know. So here, Buddhist philosophy, same thing. You know, it appears very concrete, but actually if you analyze, you cannot find it among the mere collection of causes and conditions of body and mind. So that's actually the realization of, or the understanding of that aspect in life is very, very important, you know. That cuts the root of ignorance, yeah. Even, they say, Aryadeva, in his 400 verses, he says, even if you have a doubt regarding this aspect of lack of concreteness, it shakes samsara. Meaning, it starts to bring an end to suffering, you know. So it's very, very powerful contemplation, you know. If you do those kind of contemplations, let's see how the I appears when you get angry at a person, without engaging in that aspect of anger, but just merely observe. How does that I appear? Or when you can imagine you go in a plane and just imagine the motors, they stop. You know, the engines, they stop. And you go down, you fall, you're gonna die. You know, so then very strong sense of I appears. You know, when that strong I appears, then you analyze. If it exists, you know, it should be one or different. I should be able to find it among my aggregates. It should be one or different from body and mind. And then you analyze, it cannot be one, because there's many aspects of the body and the mind. They cannot be different because it's my body, my mind. I cannot put it separate. So actually you cannot find it. You know, so that's the kind of a jewel, because if you understand this well, it will help you to cut the root of ignorance, but also in a daily life, actually understand. You don't grasp too much at a problem. Because mostly when we see a problem in life, we see it as very concrete, isn't it? But actually that problem also depends on cause and conditions, right? It cannot exist as concrete as it appears. So this kind of advice of dependent origination, emptiness, even on a daily base can bring a lot of benefit by really understanding the cause and effect and how things appear very concrete, but if you analyze, it doesn't exist the way it appears. Very interesting, yeah. So that's the view, yeah. So if you have the correct understanding that emptiness and dependent origination, they related and they go together, then you have generated the correct view, yeah. So then, having gained definite ascertainment, advice, the last part of the text, to engage in practice, yeah. So I said before, in the beginning, yesterday, first we have to have the wisdom coming from hearing, or the wisdom coming from contemplation. First the wisdom from hearing or study. Then we analyze, right? Then we have the wisdom of contemplation. Yeah? After the wisdom of contemplation, we have the wisdom of meditation. First we have to get knowledge of the subject we're going to meditate upon. Yeah? Then we analyze, if it's really true or not, with the different reasonings. Yeah? It's like when I said with anger, you analyze the faults of anger. Yeah, there's a kind of contemplation. And you analyze the benefits of practicing patience. Yeah? Then you come to a conclusion. Yeah? And with a view, same thing. You analyze, how does the I appear? Very concrete. Does it exist the way it appears? Body and mind are momentarily changing. I cannot find it among the aggregates. It doesn't exist. Yeah? So that's your contemplation. Then you focus on that. Or you single-pointedly, concentrate on that conclusion. And that's the wisdom of meditation. Yeah? So those three wisdoms of hearing, contemplation and meditation have to be generated. Yeah? So how do we generate that? And here it says, in this way, you realize exactly the vital points of the three principal aspects of the path. As we just saw, every of those three principal aspects of the path, we have to know, why do I meditate on this point? How do I meditate on it? And how do I know I've meditated correctly? Yeah? So those things have been understood. Yeah? Then you meditate on these three principal aspects of the path, resorts to seeking solitude. Solitude, does that mean... doesn't mean, like yesterday came up, some people asked, doesn't mean solitude here, doesn't mean put your body in a cave. The solitude of the mind. Yeah, so that means you are doing your daily life, you find some space. Best in the morning, after you wake up, you wash your face. Find some space, even if it's just a few minutes, to think about these things, before you get too busy. And then the mind, in the evening, mind is tired, right? And when you try to meditate, then you probably fall asleep, right? So that's why the morning is the best place. So if you're in the morning, you do some, you wake up, you wash your face, then you do some breathing exercises, as I do here normally in the meditations. And then you contemplate about these points, or one point, or anger versus patience, or what we just talked about, renunciation, suffering of samsara. Or you meditate on generating compassion with the 7 cause and effect method, or emptiness. So you can do like 1 week, every day you do a little bit of one subject, then you move to the next subject. Then you get a little bit idea of what it's all about, we just talked about. So by just reading and listening and writing some down, and then by itself is good, but it's only the first step. There's only the step of the wisdom that comes from hearing and study. But in order to really understand it, we have to analyze. Is it really true what has been taught or not? And then analyze with different reasonings from a neutral perspective. Then you come to a conclusion, then you focus on that conclusion, and then you move forward. So that's the solitude. It doesn't mean up in the mountains, but that means like find space in your daily routine where you can focus. So that's you can do, and generate the power of effort. Sometimes people get into this thing, very interesting, Buddhism, the three principal aspects of the path, emptiness, very nice, interesting. And then they contemplate for a month or two and say, it's a bit too difficult, training the mind is very difficult, and then just throw it away. So then there's no point, right? It's better to do every day a little bit, then become very enthusiastic, interesting, and then for a few days you will into it, and then a few days you say, I don't have time. But every day, it's just a few minutes, then you move forward, and then the benefits will come. So it's meditating on the drawbacks of destructive emotions, if you really put effort, like the example of my friend in the Netherlands, in the traffic jam, there's benefit. He experienced much more happiness in life than a few years ago by mental training. Just how you deal with the conditions you have to deal with anyway, so you can deal in different ways. You can get very uptight, or you keep your peace of mind and deal with it another way. So that's in our hands. So that we can achieve even in this life more happiness. So, and if you think about these three principal aspects of a path, then future lifetimes, liberation, and enlightenment. Create courses for that to happen. Then the real happiness comes around the corner. Yeah, and quickly accomplish your final goal. Yeah, so my child. So that's the final goal of liberation and enlightenment. Yeah, so if you contemplate these three principal aspects of the path, and you read some more Lamrim, and you structure your daily routine in that every morning, just a few minutes. You put imprints. The more seeds you plant, one day they will, bring fruit, right? So it might take some time, but if the seeds are planted, then it's a matter of time, and things will come. So that's why the more effort you put, the more results will come about, of course. Yeah. So that's a very brief explanation of this text. You can also spend weeks on these points to, explain. But anyway, I hope there was some benefit. So if there's any questions, then you can still ask if people have time. Everything is crystal clear? That's good. So then I don't have to come anymore, you can just do it.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
This emptiness you're talking about.
Yeah.
But still, there's no emptiness. I don't find any emptiness anyway.
Yeah.
Especially this path is also, you find it is vacant.
Mm.
But the air is there.
Yeah.
So it is not being empty of anything. Something is there.
Yeah, that's true. Emptiness means a lack of concreteness, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not mere lack of, like the empty of an elephant. Yeah, this room there's no elephant, right? So that's not emptiness we talk about. Yeah, it's just a mere lack of a particular object, an elephant. Yeah. So what we talk about is a lack of concreteness. Yeah, so everything you see, table, the floor, the cushions, the walls, the pictures, everything appears very concrete, out there, like all by itself, But actually everything is dependent, origination, cause and effect, everything. Yeah, so if I throw this glass against the wall, it will break, right? So that's a kind of gross form of impermanence. But this glass also momentary is changing. But that we don't see. We see it as very concrete. No? But actually it's momentary changing. Even if you go into subatomic particles, to find where the electron is very difficult. It's just where you look for certain kind of observations. The observer decides where to look and will find something there. So it's very much, though it appears very concrete, but actually if you go into subatomic particles, there's actually more space than this concrete piece of glass. So emptiness of this glass is that lack of that concreteness. So the glass is still conventional there, but it's not that concrete as it appears. So that's a bit, it's not mere lack of something, right? It's here the lack of concreteness. Yeah. Does that give a little bit an idea?
A bit.
Bit, yeah, don't worry. Maybe next course can be emptiness for a few years.
Carpet is there, okay, carpet is there, so it's been occupied by the carpet space.
Yeah.
But still, emptiness, I don't think I'm able to get it. Emptiness, I
no,
don't find it.
Don't worry. Emptiness, we in the monastic institutes, we study 4 years, 5 days a week. When
monastic then.
No, that gives you a little bit idea that it's very, very, it's not easy to be understood. Yeah. So His Holiness Dalai Lama, he says in his 20s he generated interest in emptiness. And after 60 years down the line, he says, now I slowly think I start to understand emptiness. So that gives a little bit of idea that it's not that easy to be understood, but very essential, important, because without emptiness there's no elimination of ignorance. Without elimination of ignorance there's no elimination of suffering. But now His Holiness recently starts to say that if you contemplate emptiness on a regular basis, this lack of concreteness, then afflictions, they don't have something to grow upon. Affliction like anger, attachment, jealousy, pride. So because of thinking about everything is lacking that concreteness, emotions, they don't arise anymore. The destructive emotions, right? So in that way, it's very, very inspiring.
So that means attachment should not be there to anyone.
Yeah, because the person we get attached to, we see as very concrete, right? Yeah? And the same as person we get angry at. But actually, if you look at a person, it's also the body and mind of the person is momentarily changing. No? Yeah. So that lack of that concreteness, that's what we call emptiness. Yeah.
The expectation from others should not be also there.
Yeah. Yeah, with a good intention, because everything is cause and conditions, right? Yeah, so if you expect something, you make it very concrete, as that will happen. But then it doesn't happen, and then you get disappointed. Yeah, but actually it all depends on causes and conditions. If we have a particular wish, and we like to accomplish something, then it depends on many causes and conditions to let it come about. And maybe all the conditions are not present. From our side it's present, but we also have to interact with people, and we cannot expect everybody to be perfect or every condition to be perfect. So some causes and conditions might not be there, though we expect it as very concrete. But if you actually analyze it, depends on many causes and conditions. So maybe it's not going to happen the way you expect. Yeah. Yeah.
Selfless way of working.
Yeah. Very good. Any other questions? Yeah.
You had said that the antidote to anger is patience.
Yeah.
So then what is the antidote to attachment?
Contentment, for example. It depends what's the object, right? If the object is like this Punjabi dinner, then it's just analyzing the faults. No, sorry. I mean, I use the example. Or pizza, or whatever, pasta. If then because what attachment does is seeing all the qualities of the object. It doesn't like to see the faults. Yeah, for example, another example, forget the Punjabi dinner, but we go to another example. For example, the Apple iPhone. Yeah, in China one day, I found a very, very interesting example. In China, it was the iPhone 4 or something, Apple iPhone 4. It was just new. And it was just one of the first shops. It was to be sold somewhere in China. And the shop was planning to open at 9. But at 9:50, the shop was still not open. And the person was so angry because he needed that phone at 9 o'clock. And he threw a few stones through the window of that particular shop. So that means out of attachment, I need this now, And then anger arises based on that. So attachment actually, and even if you have that possession, the iPhone, this person maybe got an iPhone after breaking the window sill, But then maybe after a few weeks the iPhone breaks down. So it doesn't realize that this object has also faults. It only sees the qualities. And then when the faults appear, then they're suffering. Yeah, so that's why attachment only sees the aspects of the qualities and don't like to see the faults, and anger is the opposite. Yeah. So always with our objects of attachment we should understand we like to see the qualities and don't like to see the faults. But actually the object has both. Right? It's just a one-sided view. Yeah. Same with persons we attach to. Yeah, we don't see much faults, and somebody else sees only faults. Who has an aversion to that person, right? But the person is exactly the same. When we talked about equanimity, it's very true. The person you like a lot, somebody else dislikes, right? So you see qualities, somebody else sees faults, but the person is the same. So the person has qualities as well as faults, right? But we see only one aspect of that, So that's why anger and attachment basically are not in accordance with reality, right? Because you only see one aspect of that object. Yeah, so that's why it creates problems. Okay? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, any other questions? Otherwise, stop. Yeah.
Similarly, like nirvana is also a very difficult concept to understand or realize.
Yeah.
Maybe at a beginner level, obviously it will be difficult. I just want to know, nirvana, you said, is not nihilism.
No.
So, can you just tell it in simpler
Definition.
words? Like,
Allez, on.
this now I understand I am existing.
Yeah.
One only thing I understand about Nirvana is there will be no rebirth. Okay, that is understood.
Nirvana
As
is
a layman, I can
achieved,
understand
yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
I will not take rebirth.
Yeah.
Then what will be like? I mean,
What will Nirvana be like?
I will be existing, not existing. This body will be there.
Yeah.
Mind will not be there. I mean,
Mind will be there. I mean, depends which school of Buddhist philosophy you give the answer. You know, so let's take the Prasangika view. You know, so Nirvana means absence of suffering. Yeah. So a person who generates renunciation, yeah, wants to be free of suffering of samsara. He meditates on the suffering of samsara as well as emptiness. Yeah, and he progresses on the path to liberation. So by realizing emptiness, he eliminates ignorance, right? So by eliminating ignorance, he eliminates those destructive emotions. Because the destructive emotions, their building blocks are ignorance. Yeah? So if you take away the building blocks, then there's no way for destructive emotions to come about. Yeah? So he takes away this ignorance by understanding reality. Afflictions don't arise. At the same way, he purifies negative karma by meditating on emptiness. Yeah? So then, at a certain level, can be a few lifetimes, for example, that person, all afflictions are being taken away. Right? Karma has been purified. There's no cause for that person to ever suffer anymore. Yeah? So the aggregates he had in that particular last life was created by previous contaminated causes. Yeah? But as soon as he leaves that body and achieves nirvana, without what is called remainder, without the physical contaminated aggregates, then there's no way for that person to take rebirth anymore. He just abides in an absorption of emptiness. Yeah? There's consciousness, yeah? But there's no suffering. Yeah.
But will not that be, like a stagnant phase? Because I think if somebody is lying and have consciousness, everything, he will have a tendency to do something at least.
Yeah. If this person is doing something, yeah.
So because, is it like something stagnant? Is it like Nirvana is boring? I mean,
no.
I mean, not doing anything. Yeah. I mean, I hope you're getting my.
Yeah. If you have a little bit idea of get a little bit of feeling of meditation, like if you do some breathing meditation, right? Then sometimes there's peace of mind, right? Yeah. Right. So that peace of mind, it's nice to be there in that state, no? It's nicer than going down to town and having pizza and buying this, buying that, and the mind is like tired, But if you sit in the meditation, it's peaceful, no? So that meditation is peaceful, right? And you want to stay there, right? So nirvana is like
staying there forever.
Yeah, staying there forever. But then the experience of peace and happiness is much bigger than just your little meditation on breathing because it's just a temporary little bit peace of mind where there's not too much disturbance and suffering. But nirvana is beyond that. Nirvana is no suffering at all, full stop. And some of the arhats, they abide in that state in the different realms. Some they go to Pure Lands, and it's a very happy place. Yeah.
And one more thing, supposedly we both are attaining nirvana.
Yeah.
So after attaining nirvana, it's like it is same, everything is same, or we both will still exist as two different entities.
Yeah, as two different streams of consciousness. Two different persons. Yeah. And then, according to Prasangika, also one day the Buddha will knock on your door and then say, hey, you have achieved nirvana, but you have to become a Buddha. And then you progress on the path to Buddhahood as well. Yeah. It's just a temporary kind of relief of suffering. Yeah. Yeah.
And last thing, we had a good theoretical discussion and some concepts. So how to actually start it seriously on a practical, I want to start with the path.
Yeah.
How to start it very seriously, on a very serious note, so that I am actually doing it rather than listening it for 2 days and then going back and forgetting.
Yeah. So then, you attend these kind of regular classes, study more. If there's any questions, people come here, you can ask questions, or different other places you can study. Get a good understanding, first of all. That's very important, no? Then you meditate every day a little bit. Then you increase that meditation according to your time, and then the understanding becomes much more profound. But just reading is just like, the wisdom coming from study and hearing, right? Or discussing. But then you think about it, then it becomes much more profound. Then you contemplate, then you meditate. And then the understanding comes, real kind of from within, and then there's much more benefit. Yeah.
And it is possible to stay not becoming a not become a monk and
Allez,
staying in the life.
Yeah.
Worldly life is possible to reach that level.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's
Yeah.
possible.
But as a monk or nun, that certain conditions are a bit more, suitable for practice. But as a layperson also, there's many examples. As I said yesterday, one of the people asked the question. As a layperson, it's a matter of your mental attitude, right? If you stay up in the mountains and your mind is still somewhere in the shopping malls in Delhi, then what's the point of staying in the mountains, right? But if you're in the morning, you meditate, you generate good motivation for the day, and throughout your day you keep that kind of mindfulness and alertness, then the whole day becomes a practice of the three principles aspect of power. For example, especially with emptiness, it's a very good practice during the day. See how things appear to you, Take some time sometimes, how things appear, and then analyze. Oh, it appears very concrete, but if you analyze, it cannot exist the way it appears. Those kind of, if you habituate yourself throughout the day, then there's great benefit, even in this life. And then to cut the road of samsara slowly, create more and more seeds. The more seeds are planted, then one day, the result will come. Right? It's just a matter of time. Right? Yeah?
I have met two kinds of people. The first one, the first category I could say, they are the ones who say that they never suffer. And the others say they are so much attached to their suffering
They
that
don't
they
wanna
feel
lose
very
it.
secure about it. How will you wake up both these kind of people?
Yeah, it's difficult. If people don't really like, to learn these things, then it's very difficult, But
So what will wake them up?
Sometimes, if they see that there's more than just their temporary kind of daily routine, right? And they know that sometimes the mind is unhappy. First, you have to recognize that. They have to recognize there's a kind of suffering that may cause them unhappiness, and maybe they like to be free of it, right? Some people, most people, they just stuck in their problem, but they don't know a way out, or don't realize it can get better. They don't realize there's something beyond that kind of state of mind. So they're all stuck and say, yeah, whatever, So
they feel that this is something which will last, suffering will last.
Yeah.
So they feel very secure in it.
Yeah. That's in some ways very sad because,
No? Have you met such people? No?
Yeah, some people, yeah. There's many people in the world, they don't have an idea, first of all, that they suffer, or that they just have, their life is just how it is. Yeah, they don't like to change, right? But they don't really understand that there can be peace of mind can be gained, So that's, For some people, if there's interest from their side, then we can talk about these things, right? But if there's no interest for their side, then I met the same thing when I just met Buddhism in the Netherlands. It's like, for me, it was a great impact on the mind, right? So then I like to share with my other friends, but they were not interested. So then there was no point. They had more the opposite effect than helping them. So, even if the Buddha appears in front of a person and the person doesn't have to come to meet the Buddha, the person just walks out of the direction. So we have to see when there's opportunity. Sometimes there's opportunity. I remember one day, I was back in Holland, and my aunt had a birthday. As a monk you don't go to birthday parties that often, but so I thought I just go see my aunt, I see all the family members, and maybe we can talk about things or not, it depends, doesn't matter. So went to the birthday party, and there's just normal, conversation about the news, about what is happening on TV, and all these things, and the work, and this and that. So I thought, okay, there's not, my interest is different fields, right? But anyway, I thought, okay, no problem, see everybody. And then all of a sudden my aunt started asking me questions, because there's among this, 60 million people or 70 million people in the Netherlands, there's only a few who dressed like this, So she asked why and this and that, and then we started talking about mind, and very simple, destructive emotions, this and that, and we talked a little bit, and she said, it makes a lot of sense, and then we talked, and then more people got involved in discussion, and we talked like that for half an hour or so, not much, half an hour. Then later on, a few days later, she sent me an email, and she called me and said, she said, normally my birthday is always talking about all these kind of, worldly things, about the news and the TV, but this time my birthday was so meaningful. because we talked about,
deeper things.
Yeah, deeper things. So then the slowly interest grows, It takes time. Yeah?
I was wondering, how does Buddhist cosmology explain the origin of the physical universe?
They don't. Yeah.
What do they
Beginningless.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Buddha mainly taught about the mind, how to become a happy human being, how to achieve nirvana and enlightenment. Yeah. So the cosmology is not really of the main interest. Yeah. So if you ask the question, then since beginningless time there's a continuity of matter. Yeah. If you have the Big Bang, it's not the start of this particular Milky Way, because before the Big Bang there was something else that caused the Big Bang, right? So there's like cause and effect without beginning. Yeah, that's true for our consciousness. That's true for the universes. There's no end. As we said yesterday, there's no end to different universes, right? So there's always somewhere a process here, there. There's here Big Bang somewhere in the universe, and there Big Bang, and that's caused by this, and that's caused by that. So there's no beginning as such. Yeah.
Just one more question. Like this, when I see at Tibetan Buddhism, there are a lot of rituals and prayers like Tara Puja and all. Is it all in accordance with teachings of Buddha? I mean, Buddha was like no supernormal powers. You don't have to pray to any supernormal power for your enlightenment. You work yourself. Yeah. Teacher, I understand. You need a teacher, and because teacher will guide you. But then worship
all this Buddhist. Yeah.
Is it Buddhist? I mean, or it is Tibetan culture which has
worship deities. Basically, it means that if you do Tara Puja or whatever puja we do, it's not worship a particular form or whatsoever. That form symbolizes something. Yeah, like the Buddhas here, the statues, right? So if you just go temple, make prostration, offering, and that's it. That's not Buddhism. Yeah, but we make a prostration, we make offerings because we like to become like that. We like to acquire those qualities, like Tara, like medicine Buddha, whatsoever. Yeah, so for that particular purpose, we aspire to become like them. For that purpose we make offerings. For that purpose we're getting closer to. It's all mental training to enhance these kind of aspects. And the puja also, if you read the text, it's all about helping sentient beings, generating bodhicitta, understanding emptiness. Without understanding emptiness and bodhicitta, and then all those rituals, there's no point. So that's, if you do those pujas, you have to know, what actually does it mean. That's very important. And then it can be very profound. Yeah. And this all comes from the Nalanda, from the Buddha and Nalanda tradition. Yeah. Because like in Amaravati, for example, Amaravati?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so that's actually the place where the Buddha for the first time actually taught the Vajrayana teachings. Yeah, all the things to do with deities, etc., etc. Yeah. Yeah.
And there are like many translations on the net of Lamrim. So which one will you suggest for a beginner to start to read?
Yeah, are you a good reader?
I'm a bit reader.
So we have some Lamrims here. Maybe Samtala, you can ask what's in the library.
Okay.
Maybe Pabonka Rimshe's Lamrim, maybe. Yeah. There's one, Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand. That's a middle-length version, like this thing. That's a very easy readable. Yeah. Yeah. That's one more. No universe? Only.
Does the capacity for compassion, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, if you allow me.
No problem.
The capacity for compassion depends on karma, which I don't understand. The burden of afflictions, so isn't that a trap of sorts?
A trap. We're stuck.
Yeah.
Compassion, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, is the capacity for compassion.
Ali?
That depends on where you are in cyclic existence, and that depends on where you were previously and what your burden of afflictions is. So is there a purpose? Is there a
purpose of? Purpose for?
Is there a purpose for to say cyclic existence? I mean,
Ali, there's no purpose, but we're just stuck in cyclic existence since the beginning of this lifetime. So there's no purpose. In the only purpose, cyclic existence basically only has faults and drawbacks, right? The only quality it has, we can get rid of it. Yeah, same for our destructive emotions. Yeah, they only have faults, but the only quality they have is they can be eliminated. So that's same for cyclic existence. It has There's only faults, but luckily it has one quality, and that means you can get rid of it. So if you get rid of all destructive emotions, as we saw with this person who achieved nirvana, then you get rid of cyclic existence as well.
Somebody in a very bad realm, in say the hell realm, does he or she or it have a capacity for compassion? They do.
Yeah. The Buddha himself, he generated compassion in the hell realm, for example. He was like, there was one person was pulling for a chariot, and he was punished. In the hell, there's all kind of thing. It's created by the mind. If you see people who use drugs and have a bad trip, it's very similar. There's fear and there's whole fire everywhere, and it's like very intense. In the hell is similar. It's a mental state. It's very similar. So then the Buddha, he saw this person suffering so much. Carrying that chariot in front and being beaten up, and then the Buddha only made with, go away, I help you, I will do it for you. So then, out of that compassion for that person, he offered himself. Then he was beaten up by the different kind of mental created kind of creatures in the hell. Then he died on the spot. And then he was born in one of the god realms, and then by the clairvoyance he saw, I died and be born here because I generated this compassion. And then, from then onwards, he started to generate compassion more and more and more and more. So it's possible, yeah. If you see suffering, then it's more easy to generate compassion, Yeah? Then we stop, okay? So then try to dedicate that for long and healthy life of all our precious gurus, in particular His Holiness Dalai Lama, Lama Tsongkhapa, because without those guides, without those teachers, we lost, so we need the hooks of compassion, this and all future lifetimes. So try to pray for that and also for long and healthy life. Yeah. Kare rawe korwe zengande pendande ba malu jomwe ne chenre zekwan tenzin gyazoi jabe jide badu dengyoji. And then also oneself and all sentient beings may never departed from these kind of teachings that learns and teaches us how to become a happy human being and get good rebirths and liberation and enlightenment by depending on the three principal aspects of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, and a correct view of emptiness. Nejon samba rinpoche magye panang gege geba nyamba meba yangone gonde belba sho chanjo semjo rinpoche magye panang gege geba nyamba meba yangone gonde belba sho chanjo semjo rinpoche magye panang gege geba nyamba meba yangone gonde belba sho Toni tawa rinpoche magye panang gege geba nyamba meba yangone gonde belba